roll your eyes? Oh, not one of those kind of courses. Well, let me just ask. All I want from you is to have an open mind. Just listen for a little bit of what it is that I have to share. And if some of it resonates with you, then I want you to grab onto it. And if it doesn't, then just let it fall to the floor. But what we want to talk about today is construction mindset. I'm not trying to get you to change your mind. I'm not trying to get you to think the way that I think. What I do want you to be able to get from this training is to know and understand that the way that you think about things has an impact on how you can come to resolution and how you can come to the thinking of that particular situation. So, in this course of construction mindset, we're going to first talk about the evolution of construction. The mindset of construction has pretty much always been that you got to be tough, you got to be resilient, and you got to be ready to work and have a good work ethic. And those are all extremely important characteristics that we want to maintain in the construction industry. But we also want to know and understand that the way things were are not the way they are now and are likely to change in the future. And so, with a mindset, we want to be able to have flexibility in changing with that thinking that we're talking about. So, in the original evolution of construction, it was pretty much get her done or get gone. And so the good old boy mentality was something that everyone was working under. It does cause significant stress and anxiety, but it's very powerful in what it's able to deliver as far as the accomplishments of our projects. But the longevity of a person in that industry can be shortened when we're not using appropriate measures and being conscious of our construction mindset. And so that's going to lead us into what our belief system is. There's a lot of things that shape our belief system, but mostly it's going to be from the way that we were raised. The experiences that we've had in life have shaped us a certain way, and that way most likely was put in place in order to be able to protect us from things that we saw when we were children. And so now that we're adults, we may still need some of those protections, but we also may be more powerful in our adulthood where we don't have to lean on some of the same protections that we had put in place as a child, but we just haven't made that switch yet. And so we're moving into an issue or a situation using the belief patterns that we had through the eyes of a child, instead of stopping for a moment and recognizing that as an adult, you have different skills and different abilities and different capabilities of being able to address issues. And so what skills as now an adult do you have that you can use to address this particular situation? So once we understand our belief patterns, then we're going to go into understanding our own personal learning styles and thinking patterns. These also were probably developed in our childhood, but these were probably designed in a school setting or in a sport setting where we were identified a structure to follow so that that individual, one person dealing with a large group of people, so 30 students in a classroom, would be able to handle that large number. Many of us in construction are what we call kinesthetic learners, which means that we do work better with our hands. But I do want you to recognize it's not just that we work better taking things apart and putting them back together. It's the actual motion that our body is making that almost stimulates blood flow and hormones within us and chemical reactions that allows us to do some of our best thinking when we're in motion. And so because we are in motion learners, it would be very hard for a teacher to take 30 students in a small classroom and be able to address educational needs to 30 kinesthetic learners. So that's usually why we were sifted to the bottom of the class, or we were sent over to shop, wood shop, auto shop, in order to be able to allow that teacher to focus on the majority or a higher number of students. But we've always kind of been taught that maybe there was something wrong with us because we had this type of learning style. And so I just really want to first thank you for committing to that learning style and being in the construction industry, but more importantly, letting you know and cause awareness in you of how incredibly unique and special that is, and that without those individual skills, we wouldn't have a construction industry. So be very proud of your kinesthetic learning style. So after we've learned our learning styles and our thinking patterns, then we're going to move into understanding our 4 E's. So that's energy, emotion, experience, and evidence. So we're going to learn about masculine and feminine energy. And yes, men, you do have feminine energy. And we're going to talk about how that is a good thing for both men and women, because it's not about the gender of an energy. It's more about what that type of energy produces. So a more masculine energy, which women in construction tend to be heavier in, gives us the opportunity of feeling that resilience, that confidence, that ability to be able to have a backbone and organize and manage a project, versus more feminine energy, which might give us some more compassion or empathy and understanding about a situation. So you can see just how important energy is in understanding masculine and feminine, and how both men and women should practice using both. Then talk about emotion. I know that if we haven't had it happen to us, we've at least heard about it. And that is some angry superintendent running into the job site trailer, throwing his hat against the wall and yelling and screaming about something that takes us about 5 minutes to calm them down so that we can really get a clear picture about what is going on. And so we have to be able to separate this emotion from actual experiences that are happening. If we're able to do that, then we're able to move forward with clarity. But when we're in a state of rage or being upset or angry about something, then it's going to keep us from being able to think about the best possible resolution or problem solving that we need in that particular situation. So we're going to find ways to be able to diffuse that. We're going to fall in love with all of our emotions, including being vulnerable, understanding true authenticity, and understanding how important it is to be true to our own morals and virtues. So that brings us into the 3rd E, which is experience. And obviously, we can't all have all of the experience that we want in the construction industry. But when we're using a construction mindset and we're recognizing that construction is built from systems and processes, then we can have confidence that even without construction experience, that we can know how to put together an outline or a baseline and develop a skeleton, where then the more construction experience we have, the more that we can bring to that particular situation. If we don't have that experience, then we have to be able to understand where to find those who do have the experience and can mentor us through that particular situation. Then we come with the evidence, just recognizing that the more detailed we are, the more that we understand our construction documents, our specifications, our drawings, understand what's going out on the job sites, understand the relationships and how those relationships collaborate between each other on a job site, allows us to be able to provide evidence in the situation that eliminates the opportunity for other people to try to pull the wool over our eyes. And so if we're able to create that evidence, it minimizes the amount of dispute or discussion or high emotion that might come into a situation that makes it difficult to resolve. Then after we talk about those 4 E's, we're going to talk about faith and fear. Now, these are 2 parts of the human operating system where most of us are very familiar with fear. And with a construction mindset, we could go into things fearing construction is hard work. Construction means I'm going to be dealing with men. Construction means that I'm working with a bunch of rednecks who have a closed mind and aren't open to new ideas or things that I might want to bring to the table. And so what we want to be able to do is recognize that this is mostly a stigma that has been designed over the years, where some of it is true. But we are changing as an industry in recognizing and understanding that if we want to move this industry further and farther than where it is right now, that some of this stigma is going to have to change. So with a great construction mindset that doesn't focus on fear and trying to protect yourself, then we can turn our focus to faith. And so if we are able to have faith that everyone on the job site is working in commonality in order to get us to our final goal, in order to complete the successful job and have a beautiful deliverable where everyone has been able to make a fair profit, if we can have faith that that is happening in our construction workforce, then we're able to move forward in a positive attitude that is going to move through life with the assumption that it's working for us instead of the assumption that everything is working against us. Then once we understand faith over fear, we're going to move into a comprehension of the human operating system. Now, I'll just explain this to you really simple and straightforward, that if you don't feel good, you're not going to produce good. So what the understanding of the human operating system isn't about getting complex and trying to talk about different parts of the brain and how you function one way or another. It's simply just identifying that those common sense things that help you understand that if you aren't feeling good, or if you're feeling depressed, or if you're feeling anxiety and stress, recognizing how your body reacts to that so that you will now know how to implement change in order to be able to work with that particular warning signal that your body is trying to let off. So when we talk about a human operating system, we're going to talk about some of those senses that create opportunity around fear and faith by knowing that we're going to fight, we're going to have flight, or we may freeze in certain situations. And the better that you know yourself and your own skill sets, the better you will be able to address things when you run into a certain situation in the construction industry. Then we're going to talk about how if you can manage your life, you can manage a project. Having an understanding of our own individual skill sets and how incredibly unique you are in your skill sets, that we have inherent and innate skill sets that we're born with. And then we have learned skill sets that we've learned over time. And then we have earned skill sets where we're going to identify where we may be falling short or weak in certain areas, and we're going to specifically pull out information and earn skill sets that are going to be able to get us across the bridge to where we're going. So where we're going is going to be the vision of that overall master plan of your life. And so being able to manage our life on a daily basis, we're going to use skill sets like scheduling and budgeting, organizing, managing, communication. And we're going to learn how those skills that we've been developing in everyday life are going to transition into specific construction management tasks. And once we're able to align that and transition into that, then we're going to recognize that we're really a lot further along than we ever thought we could be. And so that